Okay, good evening, everybody. It's my pleasure to present with Tatiana another wonderful webinar on Women's Health Essentials, What You Need to Know. We're really super excited to be delving into this particular subject. I think we're all women on the call from what I can see. These are things that we've all gone through, I suppose. Some phases are still ahead of some of us. And it's just wonderful to delve into this, the sort of sacred space of being a woman and, all the phases that we encounter. And it gives me absolutely the hugest of pleasures to introduce Tatiana to host this, or to take this particular webinar. Tatiana has been a number cruncher in the past, in terms of doing, the family accounting side of things, and got rather bored with that. And it was, she felt that there was more, that she had the world to offer. And then last year, Tatiana graduated with a diploma in remedial massage and a diploma in clinical aromatherapy. And for a mum to be doing two diplomas, I know that you were just about shut away for all of the last sort of year and a bit to actually accomplish that. So that's a huge feat in itself. And Tatiana, I believe your subject matter, your subject that you were really passionate about was women's health. So that's why I think we're in absolutely wonderful hands to, have you take the session, tonight. So I'm really looking forward to this. I have to say that Tatiana's been battling with a cold, and we were sort of wondering yesterday whether in fact this was going to be happening or not. I'm glad to say that hot drinks and lots of oils and other bits and pieces have restored you enough to actually, conduct tonight's webinar. So I hand over to you shortly. We will have a Q&A at the end. I've got a couple of questions that have come in via email. And if you want to maybe put those questions into the chat as well, we can then ask them afterwards. So Tatiana, it's over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Berit. Hi, everybody. It's an absolute pleasure for me to be here online with you today. I've never did a live webinar before, so it's a new territory for me, and I'm super duper excited. So, women's health. I'm a great, how can I say? I'm a great believer that our body heals naturally, and I love working with women. And being a woman myself, and having a teenage daughter and mom, I see how different life stages offer different challenges and different benefits to us. And I was super excited when Berit asked me to present this topic on women's health. So let's just dive straight into it, because there is a lot to cover. Yes, we will not cover everything, because it's impossible to cover everything within an hour and a bit, or whatever time will allow. But I will do my best to share with you the best tips and nuggets that I know of. And these are coming from my clinical practice. These are coming from me simply being a woman. So that's from my life experience. So I'm super excited to share it with you. So that's my family. I know that people always love to know who is behind, what's the voice behind the camera. So that's my family. That's me, my husband, and two kids. I have a 14-year-old daughter and 4-year-old son. So that's us. We've been calling Gold Coast home for the last 9 years. Previously, we lived in New Zealand and other parts of the world, and we explorers. We love to explore, but I hope that we settled now for good in Australia. Now, as a disclaimer for this presentation, I just want to advise you that this presentation is just for general guidance only. Please contact your healthcare professional for personalized advice specific to your situation, because we can't cover everything. Every one of you is unique, and your situation is unique. So please take this presentation with a grain of salt. Take the nuggets that you need, and discuss them with the healthcare professional that you consult with. Now, why I love aromatherapy and why essential oils work. Uh, Firstly, and that's what I love about the essential oils, is that they do not have a singular outcomes. They will benefit more than one body system, and they will benefit more than one organ. And that's a holistic approach to health when we consider not just the organ in particular, but we consider the whole body as general. And that's where essential oils can play such a fantastic role, not only benefiting one particular thing, but the whole body. Essential oils go through the secondary and the third stage of metabolism, giving you lasting benefits to the body. So once the essential oil was introduced to the body and was metabolized in the first place, it will, whatever is left useful for the body will use for the second and the third time. So here comes the warning that many new people often love to overindulge in oils. Please do not do that. Oils are packed with chemistry, and it's a very condensed chemistry. So treat the oils with the respect that they deserve. A little goes a long way. Now, some essential oils cross blood-brain barrier, and this happens with or without your permission. So whether you want it or not, if the oils contain sesquiterpenes, for instance, these are the small tiny molecules, they will cross the blood-brain barrier, and they will give you a powerful biological influence throughout the body. So that's just a little bit of the background into how the essential oils work and why they're so powerful. Now, the clinical observations that I noticed throughout my practice with working with people, working with women, because that's my particular interest, working with women, and introducing the essential oils to them. So what I observed with the years and hours of clinical studies is that we had a pronounced hormonal balancing. And when we say hormonal balancing, it's not just one hormone balances, but it's the overall balancing of the body that is happening. We've seen some pronounced psychosomatic response. So it's how your body responds. So it included reduced cheerfulness, for instance, in some women, anger, irritability. We've seen increased energy levels, and what's very important to me, we've seen improved self-image and perception of self. And when I say perception, that's exactly what I mean, because we perceive ourselves differently than other people perceive us often, and it can play a vital role in how available you are to other people and how you interact with other people. Which brings me to the next point, which was improved emotional availability. And that's a big thing for us as women, because we're the nurturers, we're the carers. Most of the time we look after our children or look after our husbands, our parents. And if a woman is not emotionally available, if her reserves are diminished, she is of no use to anyone. So it's okay to take care of yourself. It's okay to look after yourself. It's not an egoistic perspective. It's actually caring for yourself is caring for others, because you cannot pour from the cup that's empty. Some of the clients that I have that I had in the past and who had PMS symptoms or primary dysmenorrhea, they had a significant reduction in pain and in sleep quality with the patients who's had insomnia. And that's not only the sleep quantity, but also the quality, which was important for me. And that's just a couple of clinical studies that I did my diploma on. So that was the pain in the dysmenorrhea. So how essential oils are effective at managing the symptoms of dysmenorrhea. And how the essential oils can affect people with sleep deprivations and with the insomnia. So I will share some of the results from those studies with you later. So let's just jump straight into the topic and divide our life into very specific 4 stages for the purpose of today's topic. So, as a woman, we are on a hormonal roller coaster ride most of our lives. And once the hormones start playing, basically the life of a woman can be divided into 4 cycles, which is your adolescence or puberty, your reproductive years, then the peri-menopause with 2 stages, and I'll cover them later, and menopause and beyond. So is the ages from 10 to 20 roughly, that's your adolescence. That's when your brain learns to produce adequate levels of hormones. And your hormones are chemical messages, like just like the text messages sent from your phone. These are the messages sent from an endocrine gland through your blood to target cells. And hormones are very influential. They need it in tiny amounts, but they are very powerful, and they can influence your behavior, your emotions, your brain chemicals, immunity, metabolism. And when they are in balance, which is elusive for many people, but when they're in balance, you look and you feel your best. But when they are imbalanced, they can make your life miserable. And just like every person is learning to walk and talk at different, uh, with different success rates and with different speed, that's how our brains learn to produce the levels of hormones with different success rates, and it's different from one person to another. That's why some people go through those puberty stages quite easy, and the others are suffering from acne, from moodiness, from irregular periods, and so forth. So what else is happening at that time? The female features develop in girls. The periods begin from the emotional point of view. They have heightened interest to the way they look, to their appearance, and their status amongst friends. And I now have a teenager at my home, and I can speak from experience that this is true. The other thing that comes into play is the skin concerns, as I mentioned earlier, and mood swings. So why is this happening is that in adolescence, the control system in the brain, namely your hypothalamus and pituitary gland, is just getting started in the conversation with the key endocrine glands outside of the brain. And that includes your adrenals, the thyroids, and ovaries and girls. And the brain is very excited because it learns it learns to respond to estrogen for the first time, and that's why this interest to the personal appearance and how I stand amongst other girls is so obvious. So let's just take into the perspective of what we can do to help our teenagers. And one of the first things that I noticed is that the problem skin can be a very big confidence killer. And girls often suffer from the way they look, and it affects virtually all the aspects of their life. So what we can do to help them, first is the water. Just increase the water intake and teach them to drink water. Add alkaline food. So we all know about the acid alkaline balance in the body. So teach your girls good practices, and um, introduce as much fresh fruit and veggies as you can. It's difficult to minimize all the processed foods, and I know it's hard because they all want to go to the parties where they all eat popcorn and chips and stuff like that. And nobody's taking that away. But if you keep the golden ratio, I call it the golden ratio, golden rule of 80-20, you'll be safe. Like majority of time, you eat well, you sleep well, you drink enough water, and then 20% of the time you can allow yourself those indulgences. Move. We know that it's hard for teenagers these days because a lot of them are just addicted to their phones, to their screens. and they love to spend their times in their bedrooms, in their rooms, and just sitting. So just taking them on a walk on the beach, we're so blessed in this environment where we live on the Gulf Coast. There is virtually endless opportunity to get out throughout the year. So take your teenagers with you. Get off your screen. We already mentioned that. So it's just trying to minimize that screen time for the teenagers. And keep your skin clean. Clean, tone, moisturize, and teach them to use targeted treatments if required. And this is probably a very good time in life to learn the very basic hygiene rules, but the rules that will help them throughout their life. Taking the shower, looking after your skin, cleaning the skin, because especially if your skin is prone to acne and it's a teenage girl, don't do any aggressive techniques because it most of the times it will not work. So the best thing you can do is to teach your girl to look after your skin in the best way possible, and that's include cleansing twice a day, in the morning and in the night. Never allow her to sleep with the makeup on because it will age her faster and it will clog the pores, and it will be just a big trouble later on. Teach her to moisturize. So the best way is to control acne, for instance, is just to clean and use the products that can help to diminish the bacteria that grows on the skin and to help with the inflammation. So one of the products that my daughter have been using ever since she was 12, so that's 2.5 years now, is the Terra HD Clear Facial Care, and we just love it. Originally, I only introduced the cleansing foam to her, and then she's asked me for the oil and the facial lotion. And it's a beautiful, beautiful kit, completely natural with tea tree and many other good oils that inhibit the growth of bacteria, calm the inflammation, and help to look after the health of your skin. So look into this one if you have a teenager at home, or if you yourself suffer with acne or any other like oily skin, for instance. This kit is a very good one. The other product that we use on a regular basis is the doTERRA Claricalm, and I love it because it's in a touch form, and it gives you a very soothing and calming effect during the period. So my daughter knows that all she needs to is just to draw a little smiley on her belly at the time of her period, just before and during, and it's very, very calming. So she's been keeping it at her bedside table for just over a year now, since she started her period. She loves it. So, and she is the one who reminds me to get it when she gets lower on her claricum. And you can even diffuse it for the mood enhancement if you want to. The other brand that we really love, and that's for the emotional support, because this period in life often comes with the feelings of diminished self-confidence and doubting yourself, cynicistic and sarcastic approach to life. And so I love Motivate because it has just a wonderful, fresh and clean and minty and citrusy scent that's so uplifting. And it also is available in a touch form, but also as part of the Terrace aromatherapy kit where you can diffuse it. So it's a beautiful blend that my daughter keeps in her bag for school. So whenever she needs to do a presentation or stand and speak in front of the class, she loves using that because it gives her just a little bit of that extra part. And our family is agreeing big fan of green shake and smoothies in general. And the Terra greens is a wonderful way to start your day or have it as a pick me up addition in between the meals or after you've had a trip to the gym. And if your team is not eating an adequate amount of fresh fruit and veggies, it's a wonderful addition to their diet. It has awful lot of amount of uh, greens and vegetables and fruits in a powder form, and it tastes nicely. So just add a banana or papaya or whatever your kid enjoys. Blend it. We blend it with water. I don't like any other milks, but if you do, you can try any non-dairy milks because the dairy doesn't really go well with this one. And enjoy it in the morning. And smoothies in the morning is the fastest way to get the nutrition right. Now, let's talk about the next stage, and that's the reproductive stage. And that runs from the roughly about 20 to 35 years. And at that time of your life, you are the perfect hormonal specimen. You're at the peak of your hormonal perfection. Everything works like a clock. You have a predictable level of estrogen and progesterone each day of your menstrual cycle. Well, for majority of us, that is. It's the best time for you to start family. That's what you're after. Your periods, as I said, are predictable. But here comes into play the next stressor factors, which are the sleep and the stress, because having kids automatically gives you both. And then another concerns that concern that women often experience during that time is the PMS. So what is important for women in their 20s is that those women will benefit from understanding that the best way to mind your hormones begin early in life. Try to master your sleep patterns. Majority of us need 8 hours a day, but we hardly get that. So if you're the one who needs to sleep, please don't discount that desire. It's not that you're lazy. It's the time that your body needs to restore. It's your time to eat right, eat nutrient dense food, but not too much, not overindulge. So it's a way, it's the time for you to build that reserve that will last you in later years. Again, stop sitting too much. Move your body to support the circulation, to promote your blood flow, to promote your lymphatic flow through your body so that nothing stagnates. Um, Now, why sleep is so important and stress, and the reason is very simple because of the cortisol. And cortisol is the main stress hormone. It controls the levels of the other key hormones in your body, which includes thyroid hormones, estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. So please look carefully into your sleep and stress patterns. Now, women in their 30s might feel increasingly tense and overwhelmed, especially if they have kids, and they need to learn better strategies how to relax or chillax or whatever word you use. Try to learn the techniques that will work for you. If it's not meditating, maybe it's just reading a book and having a good time with the friend. And I'm a strong believer that it's way better to eat pizza with friends, having a good laugh and having a good time than checking down a smoothie on your own and feeling miserable. So don't discard those good times. Try to be social. Women uh, women rely on one another. We are very tribal. That's how we evolved over time, and we need support from one another. So having a good friend, a confidant, or maybe even a few good friends that you can trust and have a heart to heart talk. It's just as important to your health as having a good sleep or good diet. So the goal at this time of your life is to prevent the high blood pressure, pre-diabetes, and accelerated aging that often comes with the high perceived stresses, especially if you're working and building your career, or having kids. Just try and learn those techniques that will help you to deal with those stressors. And now I'd like to just talk to you briefly about the PMS, because that was the work that I've done with my research. And just to give you a little bit of the understanding about the facts and statistics of the PMS, is that this is the most common gynecological complaint affecting women during their childbearing years, with up to 50% of women affected. And this is a very frightening statistic. For girls, the ratio sits even higher, and it can be anywhere between 50 to 90%. This is one of the major factors from absenteeism from work or studies amongst young girls and women. And dysmenorrhea or PMS generally results in the loss of just over 600 million working hours, costing 2 billion in lost productivity annually. And this is the USA statistics, that's not Australia. But it just gives you a snapshot of how hard women can take it, and how it can affect our lives. So what we can do,
I've got a big sister too.
first and foremost, ditch the sugar and processed foods. Uh, your best friends in supplements wise should be calcium, magnesium, and vitamin B, because these are one of the best ones to combat hormone imbalancing. Uh, Try moderate exercise and acupuncture. And acupuncture can be a wonderful way to help you with many different conditions, or herbal supplements and essential oils. And when we talk about this, it's like taking a holistic view. It's not just one pill fits everybody, because every body is different, every body is unique, so there is no one size fits all prescription. Um, and I'd like to offer you a massage plan that I created during my clinical research. And we have been using this plan in women who had dysmenorrhea or PMS symptoms. And I generally ask them to start using that plan at the day 14 of their cycle, and continue right through and finishing at the day 3 of their period. And the number of the total applications should not exceed 5 times per 24 periods, a 24-hour period. And this proved to be a wonderful blend for some women. And I did a two months trial with two groups of people. And 1 month was the placebo month, when I just gave them a blend with a few drops of citrus glaze oil, just to give that smell. And the other blend was the real deal. And the difference between the two groups was amazing. So whenever people tell you that, oh, essential oils just give you a placebo effect, they not. Yes, there is probably a little dose of placebo, but it is the same with everything. It's the power of your thought. But when we introduce chemical compounds to the body, which can affect the your body systems in a very profound, confirmed chemical way, we change the body chemistry, and that's how we affect the body response. So the one that I used, you can take a snapshot if that's something that concerns you. I used the lavender essential oil, clary sage, marjoram, geranium, and ginger, and I use it at the 5% dilution ratio, simply because the area that we were applying the oil to was quite small, and it was a targeted application, so we went for a slightly higher dilution ratio than I would otherwise advise you use. And the reasoning behind the choice of those oils was that each of them played a role in the blend. So lavender is your analgesic, so it takes away the pain. It's a wonderful relaxant for your spastic musculature of the uterus. It has a wonderful sedative effect on the nervous system because it's, again, we're talking about the holistic approach. So we're not just targeting one organ or even one body system like your ovaries and your uterus. We're targeting you as a person. And what another thing, what was important to me is that the lavender oil was able to have a reduction in pain perception. Uh, Clary sage, and I love this oil for women because whenever I think of the women issues or whatever, clary sage is the first oil that comes to mind. It's a wonderful tonic for the uterus. It again, it relieves the tension and the muscle cramps, and it's a hormonal balancer. Actually, clary sage can balance your progesterone and your estrogen at the same time. So it's a wonderful adaptogenic herb. Sweet marjoram, and I love this one, and not only for women, but it's a wonderful muscle relaxant. Specifically to women, it's a uterine and nerve spasm reliever, especially during periods. It's a very warming herb. Uh, it has a very strong antispasmodic qualities, and it's analgesic because of that. The next one is geranium, and whenever I think of geranium, I think blood, and it's a very bright oil. It has a very strong smell, so don't use too much of it, especially if you're quite sensitive to the smells. But what it does, it promotes your blood circulation. It's again a very feminine oil because it's a wonderful hormonal balancer, and it's a nervine tonic for your nervous system. And again, it gives you sedative effect and a pain relief. And the ginger root, that's what I use in the plant, and I love using ginger for many reasons. Um, One of them is ginger being the synergist, and I love using synergists in the plant because just like a skillful conductor of the orchestra, synergists make the main chemical or dominant chemical ingredients in the plant sing together and fortify each other. So ginger is one of the synergists that I love using frequently. It also is a very strong anti-inflammatory herb or root, I would say. It has a very strong local analgesic effect when applied transdermally. It relieves pain of the smooth muscles, and it doesn't apply only to your uterus, for instance, but to all the muscles. That's a wonderful addition to your sports massage plans, for instance, or any general aches and things that you might have. It's a very warming oil, as I said, and it's a plant synergist. So that was the reasoning behind using the ginger essential oil in the blend. So what else we can do to alleviate the PMS? One of the herbs that you can use is the hypericum, which is most commonly known as sick John's wort, and it's a wonderful herb for depression and anxiety. You can get it from many health stores. It's available as a herb or as a supplement. And I will not be giving here a specific guidance on what milligrams you need because everybody is specific, and just take that as a general guidance and maybe consult a healthcare professional for specific advice for you. Now, vitex or chasteberry is another wonderful herb that often comes in mind when we talk about the PMS or menopause or peri-menopause. It's a wonderful hormonal balancer, and it's fantastic for the swelling, for cramps, and food cravings. Another one that I often recommend to women is the evening primrose oil. The evening primrose oil contains the type of omega-6 that converts to GLA, and it can be used for a number of reasons. And you can Google the benefits because they're plentiful. If we were to describe them all, I would need just 2 hours just to talk about the evening primrose oil. Um, so if you experience any issues, with PMS or pain, like dysmenorrhea or breast tenderness, moodiness, anxiety, try and look and search more information about the evening primrose oil. Now, the dandelion leaf for bloating, and that's what we traditionally use in Russia because I have Russian background and dandelions are plentiful there, and we use it traditionally. So if you like, you can make a wonderful tea with dandelion leaf. Just make sure it can be slightly bitter. You can even use in salads. It's a beautiful addition to your diet. The other thing you can use if you don't have a dandelion available, we have a beautiful product, Digest Zen, which is available in either oil or soft gel form. And for many people who joined the Terra, I know that one of the reasons he joined was because of the Digest Zen. And my niece, she swears by that. She's got it in all of her purses and at her desk at work and at her desk at home, because again, because of the qualities of that plant. So whenever you have any issues with your digestion, uh, it's a wonderful calming plant. Uh, you can use if you have indigestion, bloating, diarrhea, or constipation because it has such a wonderful array of herbs that work either way. So I love using digestion, and we always keep it on hand. And if you go somewhere, or if you know that you will be overeating at restaurant, take it with you to count those effects of overeating after. The other practice that I would love to share with women is yoni skin bath. And yoni is simply a Sanskrit word for vagina. And I'm sharing this practice at my my workshops for women that I run. So it's like having a warm cup of tea for your womb. So this is a traditional practice that's been used by women in South America for many, many thousands of years. And it's a wonderful traditional way of cleansing and toning the reproductive system using herbs and water. The only precaution I have for you is please do not use essential oils because they're just strong. And the area in that part of your body is quite spongy. So, and it's very sensitive because it has a lot of nerve endings. So be careful. So essentially, what is happening is that you take a bowl and you prepare some blend. So you take the herbs which are nourishing to your uh, to your womb, to your uterus, and I will share the recipes with you for different scenarios. And you boil those herbs, and then let it cool to the temperature that it's not too overwhelmingly hot, so that you can tolerate it, and you can then just transfer it to another bowl, ideally a metallic bowl. Do not use your plastic stuff or glass. And like it is shown on the picture, you can either use the stool like that, or if you don't have a stool like that, you can even put it inside of your toilet and let it sit, and just sit on top and cover yourself. Make sure you cover the whole of yourself and you cover your shoulders. That's also important. And that's like giving a hot steam bath to your private area. So the benefits of that practice are so plentiful. It can help you to regulate the menstrual cycle. It can help you to relieve painful cramps. It can tone your area, so, so you can feel juicier and increase your sexual pleasure. Uh, if used right, uh, to some women, it helps to increase their fertility, and many other issues. You know, even non-relating to reproductive, like healing the hemorrhoids. If you use uh, tea tree oils or lavender or chamomile, for instance. The other wonderful thing that it can do is to help balance your vaginal bacteria, and that's important, especially for women who have frequently candida visitors in that area. So doing that can help you to to stimulate and balance your vaginal flora. It can also help you to remove toxins from the womb and the body, especially if you do it after your period. It can help you to increase the blood circulation and warmth in that area and relieve stress and promote deep relaxation. And I usually advise doing that in the evening because you might feel quite relaxed or even exhausted if you do it for the very first time. And the best way would be just to have a cup of tea afterwards and go to bed. Do not go to party or disco or whatever after having that because you will feel quite calm and relaxed. So the last thing you want to do is to party afterwards. And the best thing that you can do for yourself is to go and sleep and restore. So the blends, as I promised, I will share the blends with you. So nourish, it's a wonderful mixture of herbs that nourish your uterus, nourish the uterine lining, and it's a blend of the lavender, chamomile, sage, nettle, rose, and raspberry leaf. And raspberry leaf is a wonderful tonic for the uterus. The only precaution is pregnancy. Don't take it in the early stages of the pregnancy, but the third trimester, especially the last few weeks, is fine because it will help to prepare the uterus for giving birth. Create, and that's more of a blend for those people who struggle with fertility. So again, raspberry leaf, lavender, and red clove, which is uh, promoting the blood circulation to the area. Soothe, as the name suggests, it's a wonderful soothing blend if you have um, any issues with the balance of the flora, if you have candida and things like that. So the herbs that I use in this plant are quite calming and healing. So we use basil and damiana and lavender, chamomile and sage. And once again, I'm talking about the herbs, the dried herbs, not the essential oils. Essential oils are too strong for those practices. And restore. Restore is a wonderful blend to use after you've given birth. It's a wonderful healing blend that you can use after you stopped bleeding. And it includes calendula, comfrey, and rose. All those calming and healing, anti-inflammatory, very feminine herbs in this blend. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about is that women are created different to men. And when it comes to exercises, it's only wise to exercise with your cycle in mind, not against it. And very kindly share this good infographics. And at the end of the presentation, I will share with you the website of our Aussie girl, Melinda Ban, and I've been following her work for a few years now. And she is a great advocate of exercising with your cycle in mind, with your stage of life in mind. Because we're not men, we can't do things that men do, and they do not do things that we can do. And if your personal trainer, or even if you yourself treat yourself like a man in the skirt, it's not the best approach. So uh, exercise with your cycle in mind. So basically, the first 10 days of your follicular phase, when your dominant hormone is estrogen, the strength training or steady cardio will be just fine. That's when you can also overindulge in carbohydrates, and it will be fine uh, because you have high sensitivity to insulin. In the next stage, on days 11 to 12 of your luteal phase, is when your dominant hormone is progesterone. When you are burning metabolism, when your metabolism is burning the fastest, you can do your volume training. You can do high intensity training. So at this time of your cycle, you're like a machine. You can conquer the world. So do many things that you want to do. You feel very creative. I know I feel very creative at this time of my period. So, and that's the stage of your cycle when you can give yourself permission to do more. And then days from 21 to 28 is when both of your estrogen and progesterone are low. So this is the time to rest. After you work so hard, it's time to rest. So yoga, meditation work, fine. And we have many yoga teachers in our group. So you can choose many schools or go to the studio that you like. So just take it easy. It's the time of the cycle when you just need to take it easy and rest and prepare yourself for the next month. The other thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is the sleep quality, because sleep deprivation can do a lot of negative things, and it's creeping very steadily, and you don't notice it. You know, like no half an hour less sleep here and there. So this um, chronic sleep deprivation can build up and give you a lot of negative effects afterwards. So what it does, it can affect your alertness and your cognitive performance. So how you remember things, how you react to things. And I know young moms are can be very prone to those things. Like one of the moms shared with me that she forgot to fasten seatbelts on her baby car seat once, and then the toddler, and it was boom, that toddler could speak. So he said, "Mom, my seatbelt, it's not fastened." So that's could have like maybe nothing would have happened, but it could also lead to something that nobody wants to think about. Sleep deprivation can affect your decision making and your work performance. Your mood can suffer, and it will affect your relationship. And I know I remember when I had my daughter, and we were building our business at that time, and it was just two of us, myself and my husband. And I found myself in a new country. It was a new business, a new baby, and it was so overwhelming that sometimes I had 1 to 2 hours of sleep a day, and it was so exhausting. And when my husband would sometimes see me walking like a zombie, he would come to me and say, "Oh, darling, you look tired. Why don't you just go and take the pram and go and have a walk?" And you know what? His luck that there was no Kalashnikov at our home, because that was my first reaction, because I didn't want to get out and get some fresh air and stretch my legs. Only wanted was sleep, and he didn't understand it. So take your sleep seriously. Sleep deprivation and insomnia can speed up your aging processes, because when you sleep, it's the time for your body to restore. your impaired muscle recovery. And we all know that we grow muscles when we take periods of rest. Uh, Sleep deprivation can cause the modification of hormonal balance, and that's another big thing for women because the life of the woman, as I said in the beginning, depends on how balanced your hormones are. Depressed immunity, we all know that when we are sick, we naturally want to get into bed and rest and sleep. So don't get yourself into that state when your body will forcefully take you to the bed. Give your time permission to sleep just a little bit longer. And you know, the best time to sleep is from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. So don't do any important things. Don't leave them to do at night. It's way better to wake up 1 hour earlier. You will be more productive. You will think better rather than leaving those things to you at night when children are sleeping and hubby is sleeping, and I know many of us can be guilty of that. But just remember that this is the golden time for you to restore from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. It's the best time for you to sleep. And weight gain, stress, and so much more. You know, sleep deprivation can lead to so many things, and stress is one of them. And stress is the godfather of so many different diseases, including the chronic health diseases that we can talk hours just on that topic alone. When it comes to the Terra, I love Serenity Complex, and this was my go-to and still is at the times when I know I will be challenged with a lot of tasks. Uh, and this complex, it's a combination. So it's a blend that you can diffuse or you can apply onto the soles of your feet and all the pulse points, and that's the soft gels. And you take the soft gels. I take two, uh, half an hour before you go to bed, and you can diffuse serenity throughout your night, or at least just to help you to fall asleep. And it's a wonderful combination with wonderful essential oils to help you relax naturally. Uh, and it will not make you sleepy the next day, unlike many other, drugs that you can take, fall asleep quickly, and then feel sick the next day. So the sleep support oils of my choice, and that was this choice is made on my work that I've done with working with people on the sleep issues and the insomnia. And this is the best oils that show to be effective to relieving these sleep issues. It's the cedarwood, marjoram, vetiver is very grounding, lavender. For those who don't like lavender, you can use petitgrain. Bergamot is very calming, and sandalwood. So majority of those oils will have cis-butyrians in those, and these are the small tiny molecules that cause the blood-brain barrier, allowing your brain to relax. And the only trick is to find what works for you. Because as I said in the beginning, they're all different, so whatever works for one person will be completely useless to the other. So it sometimes it's just a matter of trial and error. But the beauty is that with such a huge variety of essential oils that we have at hand, including blends, I guarantee you will be able to find something suitable for you. And of course, we all love massage, and don't uh, reject that luxury to yourself. And it's not a luxury, I call it a necessity. And I love this quote by Hippocrates is that a perfumed bath and a scented massage every day is the way to good health. And this chap knew a thing or two about health, didn't he? So go and get yourself an aromatherapy massage, or just it's just the power of touch, or the touch with intention that can make a wonderful difference for your well-being and to your state of mind and to your state of health. And even if you can't do that often, try and do the magnesium bath. And you can do those in the form of a full bath or just a full spa bath if you don't have a bath at home. It will work just as wonderfully. And here I'm giving you a few examples of the blends that you can use uh, in your bath to help and calm your nervous system. Like, for instance, lavender, marjoram, and petitgrain. This blend is wonderful to relax the tight muscles and to relax your nervous system. Geranium and cypress are wonderful to promote the blood flow and strengthen your bones. Oh, cypress is wonderful for bones and it's wonderful for your mind, so it's wonderful for your respiratory support as well. Bergamot, lavender, and frankincense. It's a beautiful anti-anxiety, nervine blend that calm your nerves and give you just a touch of relaxation needed before bedtime. Vetiver, lavender, and rose. When I look at that blend, it almost speaks aphrodisiac to me. A very grounded blend with the touch of feminine energy. Rose is a queen of essential oils, and it's got a wonderful aroma. And you don't need much. And if you notice, I didn't give you the number of drops. I know that many people ask me how many drops and in the recipe. Just go with your intuition and also strengthen your feminine energy is using your intuition. So just go with the flow and see how many drops of each oil you need at a time. The next one is sandalwood, bergamot, and vetiver. Another very grounding, very essential anti-anxiety blend. And the lavender and cedarwood is fantastic for joints and just tired body in general. And you can use Epsom salt or you can use magnesium salts. And here in Australia, we have a wonderful company called Amazing Magnesium, and they source magnesium right here from Australian Lake. So if you're using that, you will need to use less because it's very concentrated. And if you use Epsom salts, you will need to use more because Epsom salt has a lower concentration of magnesium. Now, the next stage in life runs from the ages roughly of 35 to 50, and that's peri-menopause. So once we've reached our peak of perfection and hopefully stay there for a number of years, we've completed our families. The next stage in life kicks in, and that's when your metabolism slows down, when your ovaries begin to run out of eggs, and you notice that you're more tired and you're more moody. You might have sleep issues. Even if your kids grown up and there is no baby crying next to you in a cot, sleep issues can still persist. Some women suffer from low libido and identity crisis, like this can kick in at about 40, I think, and there is a reason for it. Um, so stay with me and we'll go through that. So what is happening when you hit that perimenopause stage? It's the stage one looks like um, your life is resembling Jack Sparrow's compass. It's all over the place. There is no more true north, and your true north is lost. your progesterone drops. The estrogen is on a roller coaster. You can experience weight gain, what we call the muffin top around the waist area. Your periods can become irregular, and you can suffer from hot flashes. So what we can do, it's like, it's like the puberty in reverse. So everything starts to work in the opposite direction here uh, from here onwards. So your periods may be regular and they may be heavy or light, or they can be both. Uh, and the brain becomes less responsive to the hormones. So that's why this thing is happening. Um, and as I said, we're running off ripe eggs. So what we can do to help ourselves to go through that stage of life. First of all, do not discount the power of good nutrition. And with the Terra, we have a wonderful complex that targets the whole body in general and gives you the vitamins, gives you the antioxidants, minerals, your essential fatty acids, plus the essential oils. And I just love that support. It's like an everyday base to get you through that stage of life. And it's not only that stage of life, but that's very important because this is before you hit the menopause, it's your time to build up your reserves in minerals and to build up your reserve, yeah, minerals and in proteins. And minerals comes first because as we get older, they diminish very fast. So what this complex helps with is that it helps you to have a healthy metabolism. It provides the very sound nutrition for your bone health, help you with your immune function and stress management because it has some wonderful herbs there to promote that relaxed state. It targets your cardiovascular health and your brain and nervous system. So it's an overall approach to good health. Plus, what's also interesting to note is that we have vegan option available for those people who are vegans. The other thing I'd like to share with you is the doTERRA Slim and Sassy blend. And that's a good support for those who start to see the weight gain, or for those people whose practices that you do in the past no longer works. So Slim and Sassy metabolic blend, we have it as a oil blend, and we have them as gels as the supplement. So they help to manage your hunger cravings, and they promote healthy metabolism and a few other things that you will be grateful for that you take them. Um, Now let's talk about this stage two and what is happening at stage two. So your estrogen levels now start to drop, and this usually happens between 45 and 50. So that's when the next stage of peri-menopause kicks in. And often during that time, women notice lower sex drive, increased vaginal dryness, brain fog, slower thinking, and even depression. So at this stage, you can have three things happening simultaneously. Even if like 5 years ago, when you just started perimenopause, your progesterone started to drop. Then as we progress further in life, three things happening. You can have low progesterone, high estrogen, and low estrogen at the same time. It sounds very confusing, and that's why I said that we are losing our true north. And we can be all over the place with our hormones at that time. So the lower estrogen symptoms uh, related to the estrogen levels you had in phase one, and low progesterone is the result of ovarian aging or diminished ovarian reserve. You no longer have that many eggs as you had when you were younger. So these can manifest as difficulty in sleeping, anxiety, depression, and PMS. So what we can do to help ourselves through that stage in life, I believe that nutrition comes first, and many things can be modified nutritionally and with right lifestyle choices. Because our body is such a wonderful creation, it doesn't want you to suffer. It's not its job to make you miserable. The body is your helper. So if you treat it right, if you give it the tools that it can use to serve you better, it will. So eat foods rich in vitamin C, and this is very important, like kiwi fruits and citruses and papaya and dark leafy greens. There are plenty of fresh fruit and veggies rich in vitamin C, and that's how you can increase your progesterone levels naturally. Reduce your caffeine consumption. Um, Try and minimize your coffee intake and even your green tea, because green tea also contains caffeine. Maybe minimize it to the morning, not do not drink it in the afternoon. Try yoga to balance your cortisol uh, and help you with the sleeping and the lack of energy. The other thing that I always uh, do for myself, and I advise women, is to check your thyroid. Because specifically, if you try to notice that you can no longer lose weight as easily as you used to when you were younger, that might be an indication that your thyroid function is slowing down, or that your testosterone is just diving in. And be sure to get your levels checked with the healthcare professional. Another thing is, as I said before, cut out your sugar and try to check. Uh, yeah, try to make sure that your insulin is adequate. Make sleep a priority. Here I'm talking again about the sleep, so I will not stay here for a long time. Just make sure that you get adequate adequate sleep. Uh, Now, dealing with stress um, can be a very um, hard task, and it's greatly dependent on your outlook on life, on how you are as a person. And I love this quote by Dr. Hill: the stress can create the physiological changes that cause natural resistance to weight losses. That can even it can even reduce your immune capabilities. Um, and here are the snapshot of the oils that have a wonderful stress relieving qualities, like Melissa or elevation. They're very uplifting, very upbringing, high energy oils. Aromatise or ylang ylang. Ylang ylang is a beautiful flower oil. Just make sure you don't use too much of it because it's very strong. You only need just a little bit. Again, vetiver is very grounding. Roman chamomile, very, very calming, an anti-inflammatory oil. Serenity is our restful blend, as I already described it. So utilize the power of the oils that's available for you to help you through the stressful periods. Tips for you to de-stress: take your time to breathe, and that's what I'm trying to teach my daughter. Is it's just whenever you are faced with a difficult situation, or you don't know what to do, first thing you do is to breathe, because that's when you restore the blood supply and oxygen flow to your brain, and you can think clearly. Because first thing we body responds at the times of stress. We can think clearly, especially if it's a very bad news, and that's the body protective mechanism. So to counteract the negatives, just try and breathe quietly and fully into your belly for a few moments. Even 2 minutes is too much. Just try and do it for a few moments, just to create that physiological response, and then your emotional response can be better. Drink herbal tea, so that could be chamomile, lavender, your rose, all those beautiful herbal teas that you can drink to help you de-stress. And just a simple act of brewing a herbal tea is already like a meditation in action. Get outside and get some fresh air. And again, it's breathing, it's earthing, it's getting all those negative ions floating in the air and in the on the ground. That is very calming. Getting inside the woods is very calming as well. I know that for some people, even setting 10 minutes in the morning for meditation maybe is sounding like too much, but I remember when going to one of Tony Robbins seminars, he said if you don't have 10 minutes to do to spare on you, you don't have a life. So and that brings me to the beginning of the talk. Is it's not selfish to look after yourself. It's filling your own cup so you can offer the best of yourself to the others. Now, exercises, and that's building your resilience, that's building your muscle mass, and that's working on your bone mass as well, which is crucial at this stage of life, because the next stage is menopause, where things only can go downhill from that perspective. So work on your muscles and work on your bones while you have time and while you still have more of a support from your body. Generate a support system. Delegate things that you can delegate. Usually at this time of life, kids have grown up and they can do more things by themselves. Uh, so just delegate those things. It's like now my 14-year-old is looking after my 4-year-old, so it's nice to delegate. And again, I repeat myself, ensure that you get enough sleep. And I cannot stress it enough for you that you need your sleep to restore, you need your sleep to function normally, you need your sleep to stay younger for longer. This the Terra Emotional Aromatherapy System. I just love this set, and it's also available in a touch form, so you can have it with you on the go whenever you need support. And it has 6 fantastic blends that can support you in different situations in life, whether you're lacking motivation or whether you need a cheerful pick me up, whether you need some aphrodisiac boost, or whether you need to forgive someone or to stay in peace and meditate. Those wonderful blends can give you uh, so many benefits. And what's also interesting to notice is that sometimes one blend will speak to you better than the other. That happened to me. Sometimes I just couldn't stand the smell of console, for instance. And sometimes I just love it. So it's going with the flow and going with the state of mind and the physiological state that you have to find yourself in. And here I will offer you a stress buster blend that I've seen on Dr. X website, and I loved it because it has 4 of my favorite oils. It has lavender for calming and relaxation and perception of yourself. Bergamot, a wonderful anti-anxiety oil. Frankincense is all rounder, so if there's one oil you can afford, it's the frankincense. That's the thing with the oils. So I won't talk too much about it. And myrrh. Myrrh is a wonderful mother natural oil, very earthy, very grounding. So you can mix that and use 10 or 15 drop of the mix of the blend with 1 cup of Epsom salt in the bath. Or you can do full bath, as I said earlier. You can use that blend in the diffuser or use it for your aromatherapy massage. It's a wonderful stress relieving blend. Now we are going to the next stage, and that's from ages 51 and above or beyond. That's the menopause. Uh, so menopause is basically the end of your fertility, and it begins 12 months after your last period, and usually it has insomnia, hot flashes, and weight gain. These are just some of the symptoms. And I know too well about menopause, even though I'm not menopausal yet, uh, because it was just God's will that one of our kids had to be an IVF child. And I did 5 grueling cycles of IVF during my life. And there are many approaches and protocols in IVF, and my protocol was the longest. It was the down regulation. So what's happening is that they down regulate you first, so it's like artificially inducing menopause, and then starting to artificially and quite aggressively sending you to the other side of the agenda, trying and make your body grow as many eggs as possible for collection. So I know what a roller coaster it could be firsthand. So you don't. So when people tell me, "Oh, what do you know about the menopause?" Believe me, I do. I know what it feels like to have a vaginal dryness. I know what it's like to be on the mood roller coaster. When one day you can't even look at your partner, when you have zero desire for sex, and the next day you want to fuck everything that moves. Excuse my French. And I know what it feels like to have hot flashes and night sweats, because I used to have 3 or 4 t-shirts on my bedside table every night, changing them throughout the night because I would simply wake up like in a pool. Even the soles of my feet would be wet from night sweats, and I had to change my sheets every day because it was just unbearable. So I know quite a bit about the how it feels like to be in menopause. So what we can do to alleviate some of the symptoms, some of the symptoms, or what we can do naturally to help our bodies to go through that stage in life. So vitamin E. Uh, Vitamin E is the vitamin of growth, so it can be helpful to alleviate hot flashes, vaginal dryness, and mood swings. So doses between the 50 to 400 IU have been proven to be effective. But again, as I said earlier, consult with your health professional because your situation can be different. Magnesium can help reduce hot flashes, fatigue, and distress caused by the menopause. Maca is a wonderful herb that helps with insomnia, depression, memory, brain fog, and so many other things. It's a wonderful supplement. You can get it from your health store and add to your smoothies or your morning shake. Just a word of precaution: do not take it later or in the afternoon because it can be quite stimulating. The best time to take maca is in the morning. Red ginseng is a wonderful Asian herb that you can use to reduce your hot flushes and improve the symptoms of fatigue, insomnia, and depression. Just don't take ginseng for prolonged periods of time. Do 2 3 weeks and then take a break because ginseng can exhaust adrenal and we don't want that happen. Uh, Another Ayurvedic herb is ashwagandha. And just talking about ashwagandha can take me for for another couple of hours. It's a widely used Ayurvedic herb, and it's an adaptogenic herb that can benefit your whole body. It has proven benefits for the brain, for your immune system, for your thyroid function, for your bones and skeletal system. It can balance your sugar and cortisol, and there are a multitude of other uh, benefits that this herb can provide. So you can get it on its own in the form of a supplement, or you can take it as part of the Terramite 2 Max. And this is a beautiful complex that helps with the energy and stamina. So what it does, it promotes efficient production of adenosine triphosphate in the mitochondria of your cells. So it may sound very complex, but in reality, to make it simple, if you think of your mitochondria as the power stations of your cells or little batteries, ATP is the energy that those power stations produce. So the better those power stations are working, the more energy they produce. That's how you feel, and the better your cellular health, the better your body will feel. Because I'm a strong believer that everything starts at the cellular level, and there is a tendency now in the scientific world to think of the body as of a super organism, not just an organism as we used to think, because your cells make up the tissues, your tissues make up the organs make up the body systems, and the body systems make up the body. But then the body serves as the host for myriad of other bacteria and myome and everything. So it's a host, it's not the finished thing. So that's why we now call it a superorganism. So coming back to the Mighty 2 Max, it enhances your stamina and efficient use of the oxygen, and it supports your metabolic adaptation. And that's another thing that you need to be aware of, is the metabolic adaptation that is happening as we age. That's why the things and practices that worked in the past for you when you were younger no longer work. That is happening with the metabolic adaptation. Uh, so be mindful of that, and exercise with your stage in life and with in mind, and with your cycle in mind. Another beautiful supplement that I take a few months in the year, in the period, is the DDR prime. And I remember when Dr. Hill was presenting, and he was asked if there is anything, if there's any one supplement that you would take yourself on a regular basis, what would it be? And without hesitation, he said that would be DDR prime, because DDR prime supports your cellular health, and it has those beautiful oils like frankincense that it promotes your healthy response to free radicals. And free radicals are those chemicals that can create havoc in your body and make you sick. Wild orange, it supports a healthy cellular response. Lemongrass, again, it protects from environmental threats. Thyme, it's a beautiful oil. It's a wide spectrum oil that promotes immunity and cellular health. Summer savoy, again, gives you a better response to oxidative stress. And oxidative stress is actually the latest trend in the health industry, because everybody is crazy about the antioxidants, and for good reasons, because they help you to withstand the environmental aggressors, and this is one of the best uh, protectors against aging, against viruses and bacteria. So that's like your health reserve. So the better your antioxidant capacity, the better is your reserve, and the better you are protected from environmental stressors. So take note of this DDR prime supplement. Before you consider the hormone replacement therapy, what are the things that you can do to try and do the things naturally. As I said in the before, I believe that food comes first. See if it works for you. Give yourself 4 to 6 weeks to understand if your body responds, and your body will give you an indication quite quickly. So here are just some suggestions for the people, for the women who go through the perimenopause stages. The Brazil mats. Brazil mats gives you selenium to make your thyroid happy, and you don't need too many. 5 to 6 Brazil mats, like a handful. It's just about right to keep your thyroid happy. Oysters. Fresh oysters give you copper to boost your thyroid and your testosterone levels. Or if you're vegetarian, you can try cashews for the same thing, plus the zinc and iron. Omega 3s, if there is any one thing that you need to take and be mindful from your birth till your last day of this planet, is omega 3, because it's so important, and it has so many functions, and that's the essential fatty acid that our body cannot synthesize. So use it. Take omega 3 either in the form of wild caught fish, ideally organic, or take a supplement. Maca. I've already covered maca, but for in the menopausal women, it can help you to increase estradiol. And vitamin B5 is your stress reliever. Uh, it's also known as the pantothenic acid. It reduces the hypersecretion of your cortisol in people with who are undergoing a very stressful situation. So it doesn't only relate to menopause, it can relate to any other stages of life. So if you're chronically stressed, just consider taking B5 supplement. The other lifestyle choices that you can implement is take stress differently, develop a more playful attitude, laugh more, hang out with friends, go for massages, and just dance differently with stress. You are wise enough at this stage of life to take it seriously. Again, master your sleep, and that's important over and over again. Burst trade. At this stage, it's better than cardio because it raises your growth hormone and helps you to get rid of that muffin top around the waist. And drink less. When I say drink less, I mean alcohol. I don't mean water. So alcohol and caffeine. Because what alcohol does, it raises cortisol. It makes you sleep less, and it lowers your metabolism by more than 70%. And at that stage of life, you don't want that to happen. And what I'm also suggesting is trying to get rid of alcohol completely for at least a couple of weeks at a time to give your liver a break. Another thing is activate the positive. How we all know about the power of gratitude. So keep in the journal, just taking a mental note about the things you're grateful for can be very good for your health as well. Now, another resource that I'd love to share with you is consider genetics. Before you take in hormones, so before you're deciding on hormone replacement therapy, whether you're deciding to use identical hormones or artificial, consider your genetics and environmental risks. And there could be plenty, and these are specific to your situation. So what I recommend to people do is take a estrogenomic profiling, and this test is offered by the NutriPath pathology services. Um, I do not have any association with them. I just found that this company does a lot of genomic testing, and you can go and find a practitioner who works with them, and it can be a nutritionist, naturopath, osteo, whoever who can offer you those testing. So what estrogenomic profiling does is it's a very simple background test, and it's just taking a swab from the inside of your cheek, and it tests for a few super important things. It tests for estrogen metabolism, for your hypercoagulation, to see if you're a good candidate for stroke or not, cardiovascular, and osteoporosis. So it tests your genetics for predisposition to those things. And we know that genetics play about 10 to 15% of whether or not these things will happen, but knowing that will give you the tools and will be a good base for you to base your strategy on. Another important thing that you need to consider is to remove estrogen disruptors. And the older you get in life, the more sensitive you become. So just get rid of, of toxins and synthetic chemicals that mimic your estrogen in a toxic way. And there is a number of them, and usually they are found in many things that you can that you use around the house. So that's why I absolutely love the Terra On Guard series for home, and that includes the laundry detergent and a cleaner concentrate and home in hand wash that you can use to replace those toxic um, chemicals that you use in the house, simply because you can no longer tolerate the things that you used to tolerate when you were younger. And if you were smart enough when you were younger to replace those, it's even better. You should be in a way better state of health by the time you need to know this. So, and to finish off the conversation, I'd love to share with you the resources that I recommend for reading and going through. And one of them is Dr. Christian Northrop, and she was the pioneer in treating women holistically. She is a wonderful OBGYN and women's doctor with a long history of treating women holistically. And you can go to her website, and there are heaps of master classes and audio downloads and videos. You can get the books, you can get them as audio books or ebooks or hard copies. I own a few copies of her work. Um, Woman's Bodies, Woman's Wisdom is a very, mighty, it's a very thick book, a very thorough labor of love that she has produced. And it covers all stages of life of a woman, and she treats, she views women from all perspectives, what's happening on the physiological level, what's happening on emotional, and even metaphysically, what each stage of life means, and why at 42 or 40 we have an identity crisis, what's happening, and what's the reasoning for that. Goddesses never age. That's a beautiful read for, people, for those ladies who want to stay younger for longer and keep the vitality and keep the rings, and just be in a natural, good state of well-being. And the Wisdom of Menopause is a beautiful book that discusses the physiological and emotional health during the time of change. The other resource that I'm sharing with you is Sarah Gottfried, and she is a Harvard-trained medical doctor who follows into Christian Northrop footsteps. She's the next generation, and she's the wealth of resources for women. Her hormone reset diet can be a wonderful resource for women of all stages of life, or hormone cure. Uh, these are all beautiful reads, and you can go to her website and take a quiz, take a questionnaire, and see where you are to better understand about your body and about what to do next. And believe the brand. As I mentioned earlier, that's our Aussie girl who is a personal trainer and coach, and she works only with women, and she understands perfectly what it's like to be a woman, what it takes to work through the stages. I think she's either in her late 40s or early 50s now, so she's been through quite a bit of time, and she knows a lot about the different life stages and how exercises fit in and what exercises she used at what stages of the cycle or what stages of your life. So she also offers a lot of classes, a lot of videos. I'm not an associate or affiliate to any of this. I'm just sharing with you the resources that I find trustworthy myself and that I personally use. So here you go. That's all. That's not all. It's just the base of what we can cover with such a short period of time. So for you as a woman, as it is for me, awareness, acceptance, and action is the key to you. Is the key. Um, so thank you for your attention. I hope I've covered some things that you find useful or you can take into the future. And now it's our Q&A time. So over to you, Derek.
Thank you so much, Tatiana. That was an absolutely mega amazing presentation on, on women's health. It's a huge subject. I know we discussed before, what shall we put in, what shall we leave out? But as you said, it's the start of, opening the discussions, I suppose, for, for women's health. There are some notes that I sort of took that I found, quite amazing, that, we're peak specimens when we're 20 to 35. I thought that was pretty amazing. So that seems to me a long, long, long time ago. Just a couple of things on the product side of things. The Serenity, Slim and Sassy soft gels, and the Mito 2 Max are all products, obviously, that you need to order through the US warehouse. Just a question. You mentioned is it Amazing Magnesium Company? What was the company called again?
It's called Amazing Magnesium, and I think that's the name of the website. Or just Google Amazing Magnesium, and they will come up. They do have just the dry salts in a powder form, or salt flakes, and they also do like magnesium oil wraps in a smaller and a larger bottles, and it's a beautiful local company. So
beautiful. Oh, that's awesome. I use magnesium oil at the moment, and I find it very supportive for pain. And I really appreciated you delving into the Ayurvedic aspect and as well as into the herbal aspect of things, because I mean, we are obviously very oil focused, but I think we need to understand as well that all other therapies and modalities really complement the essential oils. And the one thing that I loved as well was that that the oils are full of packed and very condensed chemistry, and so we always do preach dilution, appropriate dilution, and we the whole motto of less is more. So I loved your blends, and I can't wait to try some of those. Now, with regards to Q&A, I've got one question that someone sent in, and that was postmenopausal woman. What do we do to increase libido when things have slowed down a little bit, in the bedroom? What are there any things that come to mind?
The things that come to mind when it comes to we need to understand the reasoning, because sometimes it can be emotional, sometimes it can be because it's just plain uncomfortable. There is a vaginal dryness, so you need to understand the reason why first. So if that's purely physiological, address that. Like, I love yoni steam baths, and that's why I've included that information into this webinar, because it is so helpful, and it's been we the Western world just began to uncover the wisdom that was kept by civilizations, if you wish, throughout the history, and it's wonderful. So use that. Um, Increase your vitamin E again. Vitamin E is a beautiful vitamin of use. And again, if physiology comes into play, go with that. I love using aphrodisiac oils, and I had a whole class about just aphrodisiacs. So the oils that support the sexual desire could be your black pepper, your rose, sandalwood, ylang ylang. Ylang ylang is actually one of the oils that balances your sacral and heart chakras at once, and it's very important when it comes to an intimate environment. It is to have those two uh, energy centers in line. So that would probably be ashwagandha. I love ashwagandha, and it's such a wonderful adaptogenic. So research more on that. And as I said, it comes in our Mitre 2 Max complex, but you can also just get it on its own and see if it's helping. As I said, it's an adaptogenic. So adaptogenic means that it will adapt to your body, and that's why I love advising and recommending adaptogens, because everybody is different. So and it's difficult to see your body from the inside, but knowing that the herbal supplement is adaptogenic gives us a little bit of freedom in that respect.
Beautiful. That's excellent. I've taken notes. So I will pass that info on. Are there any questions from any of the guests that are on at the moment? Just feel free to unmute yourself. That little button is on the left-hand side of your screen, and then fire away with any questions you might have. Nope, no questions. Okay. We're all stunned with the amount of information.
Too much information. I know, but when you go one, when you take time, and some of it may not be relevant to you particularly, but and it all greatly depends on where you are now, which stage you are now. But especially if you're younger, that just take it in mind, and it.
Yes.
Who knows, it might help you later.
Exactly. So, Tatiana, I know that you're opening a clinic later on in the year in Majariba. Are you open to consultations now? I know that you are perhaps even going away, or...
I am going away. Yeah, I've got 2 weeks and packed, and and my calendar is full. But when I'm back in August, reach out, and I'd love to do a lot, because I will be staying at the lavender farm. So I'd love to show you how the distillation is happening and how the harvesting is happening, so people could see how much labor goes into the production of essential oils, how much love goes into that, and how much chemistry is condensed in each bottle, so that they do not saturate themselves with too much, enthusiasm, but appreciate how powerful they are.
That's right. That's awesome. Well, Tatiana, I am sure that everybody here will join me in saying a huge thank you for this amazing presentation, for the wealth of knowledge that you've shared with us tonight. We're very, very grateful. And if anybody has any questions, maybe just scoot them through to me, or find Tatiana on Facebook, but she's going to be kind of out of reach within the next, within 14 days. But thank you so much again, and I'm sure we'll see each other again at another wonderful webinar. So thank you again, and good evening.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Barry. Good night, everyone.
My pleasure.